Hello, welcome to another episode of the Menswear Style Podcast. I'm your host, Pete Brooker, and on this episode, I'm going to be speaking to the CEO and founder of Percy Stride, Danielle Wathes. Percy Stride, they are a men's shoe manufacturing company. Very nice, elegant range of colours, leathers, fit for any man looking to make a distinguished impression, and it's a really fascinating story. Danielle started the brand, from the ground up. She went to the right schools, she got the right education, did all the designs. We talk about that in the episode, what's it take to get a shoe brand off the ground from scratch. All of that to come. Make sure you're checking out her website though, percystride.com. And also, whilst you're there, checking out menswearstyle.co.uk. That's where we post all the links, all the show notes to all the podcasts, as well as articles, features on lifestyle, travel, competition, and a lot more. Make sure you're also following us on the social. Just type in Menswear Style into your smartphone there. We'll crop up somewhere. And if you want to get in touch with the show, then it's info@menswearstyle.co.uk. Okay. Here is that interview with Danielle Wathes, CEO of Percy Stride. It is my great pleasure to introduce to the podcast Danielle Wathes, CEO and founder of Percy Stride. How are you doing today, Danielle?
I am very well. How are you?
I'm very good, thanks. We were just talking off air about how we're not doing too bad in the life of quarantine. It's if you've got hobbies and you've got things to do that can keep you occupied, then there seems to be light at the end of the tunnel. I think it's people that are a little bit out of things to do, that get a bit rudderless.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're a pretty established home hermit like I already am, then it's not too bad. Running a business, even at times like these, it keeps me busy. So I'm just about getting there. I haven't gone completely bonkers yet. So that's something.
Yeah. Well, I've been saying to my girlfriend that these last 3 years, working from home, doing freelance writing, photography, podcasts, whatnot, I feel like I've actually been training for this for like the last few years of staying in. And I'm a veteran. I'm a seasoned veteran now, so this is all no problem.
Amazing. Well, I have a part-time job that I do running alongside the business for a bit of pocket money, and I just happened to finish work a week earlier than everyone else, so I'm about 4 weeks in on top of everybody else's 3. So
right.
Yeah,
so you had a bit of extra tarmac. Yeah, nice. A bit of extra runway.
Yeah, I've had a bit of extra bedding in time, but admittedly I'm kind of a week crazier than everyone else. So
well, time will tell. Danielle, listen, thank you for taking time out of your day. We're really interested to learn about Percy Stride, but please, if you can give me an introduction to who you are and how you started Percy Stride.
So I am a graduate footwear designer. So it's difficult to say graduate because it was such a long time ago now, but I studied footwear design at university and came out with a Bachelor of Arts degree in footwear design. The ultimate aim was always to start my own business. I am just that type of person. It might be some deep-rooted control issues, who knows, but that was always the ultimate aim. And so I thought, coming out of university, I did a few other things and some internships and kind of getting an idea of what I wanted to do. And I just thought, wow, I'm in a position of kind of flexibility. I'm still living at home. Money's kind of just comes and goes for me. I'm in a pretty good position to go ahead and do it without anything tying me down. So that is, in theory, what I decided to do. I just went completely headstrong into it, not knowing what the outcome was going to be.
Well, great, well, excellent, a leap of faith, as it were. And how many people attend a shoe design degree?
So the course is pretty small. There's a lot of people that want to get on the course, but the actual course that I went on was very niche. So I think we probably had about 20 people, which for university is a really, really small class number. I mean, my roommates were in lectures of 200, 300 people.
Mm.
So it was kind of just like being back at school a little bit, to be honest. The university setup was exactly like you would kind of have at college. So um, we kind of had 3 floors of kind of making, designing shoes, all of the different topics we were going to do, and we had 3 floors of the building,
Right.
and really small class sizes. So we all got on pretty well, helped each other out. It was a nice adjustment, actually.
Yeah. And does everybody have the end goal of setting up their own business?
No, no, not at all. I think obviously I left university quite a while ago now, and I like to think I've grown a bit as a human. And some people want to start their own business and some people just don't, and that's the differences between people anyway in life. As far as I am aware, I am the only student of my year that decided to start from scratch and do their own business. But a lot of my classmates have gone on to be very successful in design roles, working with leathers. Some have gone into the artwork, kind of art trade, handbags and accessories. So
Right.
they've done really well off the back of the degree. I was the only one that was crazy enough to think, yeah, I'm gonna just go out and just do the hardest thing ever.
Right. Well, what are the initial steps? So once you graduate, you have it in mind that you want to start your own business. Where are the first phone calls? What are the first outlays for you to try and put this business together?
I mean, for me, it wasn't so much that I was left out on my own, because most students on the course kind of decided to go into actual kind of employment roles. So the university was very supportive in regards to making sure we had the right contacts and things like that. And I did a multi-channeling internship, so I looked at kind of marketing, social media, trend analysis for a footwear company,
Mm.
and that kind of cemented my idea of, no, I kind of want to do something on my own. So I just started drawing. Designing. I was working at a pub at the time, so they kind of let me use one of the restaurant tables to get all my pencils out on my break and things like that. I'd draw kind of anywhere I could.
Mm.
And once I kind of had some stuff together, I really just applied the same structure as I would have done at university. And it was like a little project of what I wanted to create, and mood boards and kind of marketing structures and things. And my first step was to go to the British Footwear Association.
Mm.
And I met with them in a little cafe in London, and I brought my laptop and all of my sketches and basically just presented. And they were able to kind of help me get more contacts, kind of tell me where to go in regards to the industry, the type of events and people that I needed to be meeting.
Mm.
And then it was just kind of from there, just a lot of hard work trying to introduce yourself, let people know that you're serious, that you're actually going to do this, and they're going to benefit from you doing it. The biggest kind of, not so much stumbling block that I had, but the hardest part was sourcing a UK manufacturer. It's a lot smaller in the UK now than it ever used to be.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many kind of established brands already in that area. They don't necessarily need to take on someone like me who's brand new and fresh faced, and I want to do all of this.
Mm.
And trying to track down a factory that would help me, support me, encourage me, and make my designs for me was incredibly difficult. because most production is overseas now when it comes to retail. So I was incredibly lucky to be able to find the factory that I did, and I'm still with them now.
And that's based out of Northampton, right? And Northampton's the epicenter for cobblers and footwear and shoemakers in the UK, is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. So my factory is in a village just outside Northampton called Wollaston, and they're about 3 miles down the road from Doc Martens and churches, and it's great. It is, a lot of people know that Northampton is kind of the home of footwear. But what you don't realize when you go on to a factory tour down there, or look around the area, it's like stepping back in time a little bit. And that's what I absolutely adore about it. When I step into the factory, it's like I've gone back a couple of 100 years. And and it's sorry, it's absolutely brilliant. Everyone's so friendly, and everyone has their own individual workstation, and you know, there's a person that does one thing, there's a person that does another thing, and they're incredibly skilled, proper craftsmen, and it's brilliant to work with people like that. But yeah, like I said, it's a bit surreal. I went on one of my factory's tours year or so ago, with a friend who was doing some photography and a blog about the shoes in the factory. And the managing director came up to me and he said, "Oh, Danny, can I have your help a second?" I was like, "Yeah, what's going on?" He's like, "Got to go around the factory and take down all the nudie calendars."
not too many page 7 male model calendars going around on the factory floor those days.
I was just laughing, and I just thought, do you know what, that's brilliant, because you know, you don't really see a lot of that kind of stuff anymore. But it was, yeah.
Oh, well, listen, you've got to be entrenched in the blue collar background to know about the calendars that you might find in these sort of factories. I worked in a sawmill probably for about 5 years, and I had a guy, he owned this, it was like a band saw, so he had just like this one saw where he would chop his wood up. And he didn't just have the one calendar on the wall. So every time he'd get a new calendar, he would just put it on top of the old calendar. And in the end, you'd actually have to lengthen the nail so that you could fit all of these calendars one over the top of each other. You know, it started as like a little pin, but now you've got a 12-inch nail that's going all the way through the wall, stacked with all these calendars. It was, yeah, no, I can picture myself there, no problem.
Amazing, brilliant. That's what you call customizing your workspace.
Yeah, adapt, improvise, and move on. I digress. So I'm thinking now that you have to, and don't let me put words in your mouth. Please correct me. You now have to go away and perhaps raise some capital to start buying some of your stock, or do they make to order? How does the process and the relationship work between you and the factory?
I mean, initially when I kind of approached my factory, they worked with me and just kind of watering down some of my designs and making sure that they were kind of to the specifications that I had put forward. And the prototype stage of making shoes is very different to kind of the actual full-blown stock order. So for my prototypes, I had a really small order of 12 shoes. They were slightly more expensive, obviously, as you would expect for kind of the prototype stage. But that was the best way to determine what was going to work and what wasn't going to work. From that point onwards, you know, I still work with the factory in making sure that the shoes are going to come out exactly kind of how I want them. And they will kind of stop me from time to time and say, it's a good idea, but it's just not going to work. Right. That color's not going to work, or something like that. At heart, I am a designer, so I know the ins and outs of how to make shoes, but I am by no means an actual craftsman in it. So I take points sometimes from what they say, and I trust their judgment. And in regards to kind of raising capital and things, I was very fortunate that I had money saved up. I was working 2 or 3 jobs at one point. So I saved up money for the kind of outgoings of what I needed for the initial prototypes and stuff. I've had a lot of support from parents and my family to try and help me make it work. And then I got involved with Virgin Startups. So I'm a member of that community as well.
Okay.
So I kind of had to learn as I go in regards to the financial side of things. I'm very fortunate that there are accountants and bookkeepers in my family that I've been able to kind of say, can you teach me how to do this? I kind of want to know what I'm doing here. And as the years have gone by, I kind of self-taught myself a lot of the aspects of my business. I want to make sure that I know at least the bare basics of every single thing that I'm dealing in. So now in regards to kind of stock, I keep very, very minimal stock. The orders that I put in are very small because I'm still trying to build the business, and it's a product that I don't want masses of. It's not a mass product. I don't make in China, I make in the UK. The shoes are handmade. They do take longer to make, and they are more exclusive because of that. And it's important that is relayed properly from me to potential customers.
Yeah. And so what is your role? You're very much, by the sounds of it, the one-woman band on this operation. So what is your role within the company now, and how do you operate with it on a day-to-day?
Yeah, I mean, I would probably refer to myself as a professional dog's body at this stage. I I mean, I've worked in a lot of different industries since I was 13, 14 years old. And the one thing that I wanted to make sure my own business had was someone in charge, which would be me, who knows what it takes to do every single part of the job. Like I said, it's very important for me not to just be the designer, but to learn the financial side, to learn the marketing side, social media, advertising. And it's still an ongoing process for me. I am a bit of a one-woman band. I try to do as much myself as I possibly can for the reasons that I already outlaid. But I mean, like I said before, I probably do have some deep-rooted control issues going on there.
You're going to have to delegate at some point, Danielle.
I know. I'm kind of like, as much of it I could do myself, I will. A lot of people have referred to me as a bit of a workaholic before. I will
Which is,
work and
by the
work
way,
and
not a
work.
bad thing. Nobody's ever accused me of that. That would be my dream, to be someone who's God, yeah, he just never slept. Like, you know, Richard Gere in Pretty Woman, the guy that never slept. Yeah, that was him.
Yeah, I wish I could say I was the person that never slept, but I am such a good sleeper. I am a professional napper. So I definitely get my sleep in, but I don't think of what I do as work. So a lot of my day is taken up by what other people would refer to as work and what I would refer to as just stuff that needs to be done, you know.
Yes. Yeah.
As I said, I have a lot of support. I keep everything really small. So being a one-woman band, it kind of makes it easier for me in terms of introducing the brand to customers, to clients, because when they're contacting me on social media or through the website, it is going to be me that you're going to get. So there aren't really, well, I'd like to think there aren't any questions at this point that I wouldn't be able to answer about my brand, about the product. And they seem to really like the personal kind of interaction in a way. And I've had people before who I've met who've said, oh, I didn't realize that I was gonna speak to the designer, because that just doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen anymore. And I get grilled a little bit, and that's fine. Well,
it's nice. It's just nice to have companies that have got a face, in terms of you know that you can reach out to someone and you'll get a personal response. And if it's someone that's actually in charge of the company, it's such rarefied air. I think people are
Yeah,
probably prefer that to anything else these days.
I kind of never initially really wanted it to be my face, to be honest. um, but
Sorry.
that's kind of the way that it happened on that trajectory. So now I'm not a social media person. I am a bit, like, some people have referred to me as about like old fashioned. I'm not that techie.
Hmm.
I don't really take pictures of everywhere I go. um and now I have to. I am now that person who has to say, oh, can we just get a photograph for Instagram? And I hate
Mm.
it. I hate every second of having to do that. But you know, I I want people to know that they can talk to me, ask me questions, and that's really important to me as well. So, but I do have a lot of support. I have a lot of friends who have kind of let me train them in the product, so they help me a lot when I'm at shows or doing, it's weird to say appearances, but if I'm at an event of some sort, where people are going to be asking questions, then
Mm.
I have a lot of friends that are really invested in me, really invested in the brand, that would be able to answer those. I've got fantastic kind of marketing support and a blog writer, who I work with, that I contact a lot. And I've just made a lot of friends in the industry, people who are just willing to kind of help you as and when you need that help. And I still am in contact with my old lecturers at
Great.
university, and the guys over at the British Footwear Association, and other brands that I've met along the way. And that's that's all I could really hope for, is that kind of community spirit of, people want to help British brands, they want to
Mm.
support British brands, and when those brands have a face, I mean,
Yeah.
I try and be as transparent as possible. I mean, I've had people say to me, oh, so your shoes, they're real proper, like, nice shoes, so what type of shoes do you buy? And I'm just like, cheap ones. I can't
Whatever
afford
I can
nice
find in the Red
shoes.
Cross, and then I'll be haggling as well.
Yeah, I try to be as transparent with people as possible, um because that is who I am. That's what I want the brand to be, and hopefully I'm doing that successfully. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I guess that leads me on to a question about you. Well, what do you think about social media? I know you have like this kind of hands-off approach to it, or in terms of you have to use it, I guess, as to leverage traffic to your site. So it has utility, but what do you think about influencers and people that use Instagram as kind of a way of life? And have you had to develop relationships with these people?
Yeah, I mean, I did say a little bit about kind of how I feel about social media. I mean, I don't have a hands-off approach. I can't afford to have a hands-off approach. I spend a lot of time on social media, planning social media, a lot on photography and imagery, because that is part of the job, and I'm absolutely happy to do it. I really kind of love that side of things, because it's gonna reach people. People are gonna see it, and I think social media is a great kind of asset to small businesses. It's a really good asset for people in general.
Mm.
For me personally, like I said, I am a bit of a hermit, so I don't really use it a lot personally.
Hmm.
I probably wouldn't have it if I had an option. Um, but I also don't pick up the phone. Like, I'm that person. Um,
Well, you and me both. I mean, listen, somebody called me the other day at about 8:30, and I just said to Anastasia sitting next to me, I said, can you believe the balls on this guy? Just calling me without even texting ahead and planning, didn't tell me to block out a window, just calls me and face calls me as well. So anyway.
I know, I don't. I'm like, oh, I've got to commit to a conversation. Who knows
Yeah,
how long this is going to go
I
on
mean, I
for?
wasn't even doing anything. I was watching the Ozark, but that's beside the point.
No, I am very much similar to you in that respect. I mean, I've got friends who say, like, if I call them and I say, hey, I was just calling to see how you are, they would think I was in a, like, kidnap kind of situation. because I just don't do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so social media is absolutely great and crucial for the business. And I have worked with endorsers before, or influencers. It's not my favorite thing in the world. For no other reason than, as Instagram especially grows in popularity and has been over the years, you stop having a personal relationship with the people that you're working with, and instead you're kind of buying their services.
Yeah.
And you don't know who their followers are. You don't know if they're actually going to hit the right people. So I am extremely picky, I would probably say. I've worked with endorsers before, and I've worked with models before, and blogists. And it's really crucial to me that if someone's going to be wearing my shoes, regardless of whether they are a model, endorser, customer, family member, they're wearing something that I have designed, and they're wearing something that that has been handmade. And I want them to like the shoes. I want them to be comfortable and enjoy them. Everyone is still a customer to me. So anyone I work with, I want to make sure that they actually like the product, want to be seen in the product. That's really, really important to me. And it's important that anyone I work with at all, whether it be my blog writer, whether it be someone at an event, like I said, a model, anything like that, I prefer to meet them in person, have a conversation over the telephone at the very least, because
but only as a last resort.
Yeah, I am more of a face-to-face person. But they are becoming, if they work with me, part of my brand and part of, an image that customers are going to see. And it's important to me that I pick the right people that want to help British brands, people that know me, that know the product, that like the product. And you do get a lot of endorsers out there who you are just buying their services, and if anything, they're helping you, you're not really helping them. And I want anyone that wears my shoes to feel like I am helping them, that I'm serving a need for them, because that's the whole point in starting a business, is that you're servicing a need. And it's so important, it's so important that they like the product, because you do get approached, especially as a small brand. You do kind of get seen as a bit gullible, bit vulnerable from time to time. And I've fallen into traps. I think everyone's fallen into traps. And you learn from that. I don't want to be giving away product to someone who just kind of likes them. I don't want to be paying someone where it's not going to benefit them or me. So it's really important on social media, when you've got such a massive network of people, to make sure that they're the right people.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense. No, thank you. Well, listen, we're kind of calling each other in the middle of a very crazy time. So I was going to ask, how has the pandemic, affected trade and affected you personally? Has it halted things, or are people now gravitating more to your website because they got time on their hands? How are you seeing it play out?
It's a bit of a funny one. I think right at the beginning of this thing, there was a lot of kind of, it's either going to go really well with online shopping, or it's going to go really badly. And I kind of went into it with, I didn't want to panic, and I kind of thought, right, this is not an ideal situation. We know that. And the likelihood of people wanting to buy, footwear that isn't slippers for the next kind of 12 weeks is probably going to be quite low. So I set my expectations quite low to begin with. Like I said, I didn't want to panic, and I thought, what can I do during this time that means that I'm going to come out of this a little bit stronger than I went into it, because I have had to cancel, well, not so much cancel, but I have had, you know, shows that have had to cancel, and events where I would have been there selling product, you know, meeting people. And that's a huge part of my business. And without that going on, it's obviously, you do get panicked and you do feel pressure as to how am I going to make that up. But in this situation, it's so important not to, for me personally, not to feel that level of fear. I don't think it helps me. I don't think it helps my mindset at all. And it means that I won't be able to work clearly. So for me, it was just making sure that I was optimizing the website, working on the website, blogs, making sure people had, you know, things to read that were going to interest them during this period. I've produced a little games page on the website that's just got some word searches, spot the difference, crosswords that I made at home, that people can have a go at or print out. I've done some,
Like the bookshelves with all the shoes up against the books.
yeah. So
You
that
can,
was,
yeah, you can kill a couple of hours with that. Jesus Christ.
yeah, I did that on Photoshop. So I kind of, like I said, I self-teach myself a lot of stuff. So I do all of that kind of thing myself, and it was pretty grueling to do it.
Mm.
But you know, I thought if it gives someone a bit of time to kind of challenge themselves, challenge their brain a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I did some coloring in for the kids that can be printed out online, because you know, the likes of my sister at the moment, she's got 2 kids under the age of 6, and I thought, well, they might want to color in some shoes, and you know, there's loads of aspiring footwear designers out there, so
Yeah.
you know, give
Yeah,
them a chance to
great.
see what they
Great
come
idea.
up with a little bit. So yeah, I've done some things. You have to kind of change your marketing and change the way you're thinking and really think outside the box to get people's attention.
This
um
this is fantastic, by the way. So, um, for the people that haven't been on your website already, it's percystride.com. And if you head over to the quarantine games, you have like a circle of shoes that you can download. You can even just have like the simple silhouette of a shoe, and then you can try and put in your own designs. You can try color them in. I mean, yeah, you can have a lot of fun with these, and you can kill a few hours. Again, just give it to the kids as well, something for them to do.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I still get people that kind of say to me, they're like, oh, what do you do? I'm like, oh, I'm a footwear designer. Oh, I didn't realize people did that.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those trades that just people just don't hear much of it,
Mm.
especially if you're not in Northampton. I mean, I'm in part of the country where you don't ever meet a footwear designer. It
Yeah,
just
if you're in a
doesn't
pub in
happen.
Northampton, it's like, oh, another one. Jesus Christ. Did anyone
Absolutely.
leave
So
Northampton? Yeah. Sorry,
so
go
I mean, it's really like, I mean, my nephews and things like that, I mean, it's a career choice that they've probably never heard of. So when my sister's like, oh, you know, Auntie Danielle's got some colouring in
on.
for some shoes, you know, it's kind of opening up a little world for people that this is something that they can do. And I'm sure that there's some kids out there that would love to give it a go.
Yeah,
um,
yeah, absolutely.
so it's I've had, you know, I'm not running out of steam too much on some ideas yet, but it's important at this time, you know, to make sure that I'm kind of giving people what they need. um and yeah, like I said, just thinking outside the box
Great.
and getting people engaged with the brand. And that's what I want, because no, people aren't necessarily going to be buying shoes right now.
Mm.
It's not going to be their top priority right now, and we don't know what the economy is going to look like coming out of this. But if I can have more people knowing about the brand and engaging um, with the brand coming out of this than going in,
Hmm.
then I'm more than happy with that.
And you've also got Klarna set up on your website as well, which is a great tool for people that, especially now, they might think, well, I'm going to ring fence a little bit of my spending just to see what happens, but they also want to get a good pair of shoes for when they get released. So you can spread a few payments out. So yeah, definitely check out percystride.com. Danielle, what have you got coming up? What projects are you working on at the moment?
So at the moment, I'm always looking at designing new ranges. There's loads of stuff kind of going on social media that I'm gonna release or am releasing currently, to keep an eye out on anyway. But I have actually just started designing a new range for 2021. So I've kind of gone to social media a bit and asked clients and fans of the brand what they'd like to see, because a lot of what I do is based on what other people think. You know, I'm a woman designing men's shoes, so it's not as though I can pull upon my personal preferences too much.
Yeah.
So I rely on what people tell me, and I've got a list of things kind of stored away, people that I've met over the last 3 years, of, you know, that they'd like to see, that I'm kind of working down and seeing how I can incorporate those ideas. And hopefully I'm going to have a few options coming up while I'm in quarantine. I might as well do some drawing. So
yep, kill a few hours.
Get that going. And hopefully I'll come out of this with some new designs that I'll be able to show people that are going to be ready for 2021, and see everyone on the other side of this in a year's time and be able to look back and go, that was the quarantine range.
Like it, yeah. Listen, Danielle, thanks for being so generous with your time. And if people do want to check out you, then I guess it's through the website, but also Instagram, Percy Stride Footwear. I guess a couple of updates and a few posts will go up there. That will take people to the site. And yeah, it's been a real pleasure talking to you. Thanks so much.
Thank you. It was really nice to speak to you as well, Pete.
How good was Danielle? Thank you so much for taking the time to speak to me, Danielle. percystride.com, once again, the website where you can check out all of her wonderful shoes. And that is it for this episode. Thank you for listening, for making it all the way through. I hope that was of some help to you, of some interest. Make sure you're staying safe out there. And in the meantime, remember, it's only fashion, people, and you're never fully dressed without a smile.